Rangers fans, welcome to Liberty Blue, the best Rangers podcast in town. I'm Andrew Chelney alongside Nick Zararis. We scream about the Rangers so that you don't have to. This is episode 78, live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, and we're available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Nick, they beat the Red Wings, they beat the Wild in the rematch, and then they were this close to losing a pretty controversial game to the Blue Jackets, only for Alexis Lafrenière to play the hero, send the game into overtime with 11 seconds to go, and then score the only shootout goal. Game winner, bang, 3-0 start, 3-0 week. The Rangers are like half injured. Half the team is hurt. Lindgren got injured. Fox is out. Shesterkin's out. Doesn't matter. They keep winning. They're now 11-2-1 on the year.
You've heard me say it before. I tweeted it after the game last night, and I'm going to keep repeating it. Good teams find a way to win the games they probably shouldn't. That game against Columbus, every excuse in the book you have to lose that game. You're shorthanded. You lose another defenseman during the course of the game. Merzlikins had a really good game for Columbus last night, took away quite a few scoring opportunities that could have ended up in the back of the net. But at the very least, they are continuing to find ways. It's not always pretty. It's not always the most amazing stuff. But last night was an encapsulation of what could be. And that's why I continue to have really high, I won't say hopes, because that's not the right word quite, but that's why I continue to believe that this group is going to keep getting better, is that they keep finding ways in these games. We talked about this in respect to the Carolina game, the game where Fox and Chytil both got injured. Same thing rings true last night. It was a golden opportunity for everything we assumed about this group to come to fruition. They're still not playing incredible offensive hockey at 5-on-5. They were using their backup goalie quick last night, who's dinged up, by the way, who came back from injury after missing a game over the weekend where they had to start Louis Domingue, which we'll talk about at some point as well. But every excuse in the book was laid out for them last night and over the last couple games, frankly. And this group continues to find ways. And it is a real testament to this group taking an opportunity to heart. Anytime you have something major like changing the coach in the offseason, the next natural step is, well, if we change the coach and the results are still bad, then we start looking around the room and go, oh, who are they going to trade? Who are they going to buy out? And this group, I don't know if that's a conscious component of this or a passively subconscious thing of, well, we need to play better because we said after the Devils series, we needed to be better and we just weren't good enough. Well, this group has taken that message to heart. When we talked to Sam right before the season started, he said he wanted to see the Rangers come out and seize the opportunity, that this group was hungry, that last year was an aberration, the way they ended against the Devils, that this group really wanted to take advantage of the opportunity before them. And that meant coming out of the gate and playing like they meant it as opposed to sleepwalking. And this group continues to find ways to win and is living up to what I doubt the team heard what Sam had to say, but they got the message through some other means of the expectations are high. We need to live up to them. And they're frankly exceeding them, in all honesty.
Sam was on one last night, by the way. My man's was on one. He was irate at the no goal, but he was during the review. He was making jokes about you can't scratch your head while you have a helmet on. Like he was going in the entire. It was a joy. Sam is a joy to listen to. But yeah, I mean, like you said, good teams find a way to win despite all the situations in front of them. Some of their best players are injured. Zibanejad's not going at 5-on-5. There's a lot of issues still at 5-on-5 that have yet to be addressed. But despite all of that, they continue to win, which begs the question, like, what is their ceiling? Because we haven't seen them at their I think the Buffalo game, the first game of the season, was their best 60-minute complete effort to date, where the entire game, whether it be 5-on-5 or at special teams, they dominated. That was their best effort for every shift of the entire game. They came out, they dumpstered Buffalo, they looked good the entire way, and that was that. I want to see them do more of that, where, yeah, if you gave them ironically, they didn't really do much of anything on the power play last night against Columbus. Like, that's actually one of their strengths. Columbus is their penalty kill. They're really good at that. they kind of mitigated what the Rangers had a 5-on-3 that they didn't score on. Like the Columbus did a really good job of breaking up the Rangers there. The Rangers had a lot of outside opportunities. They didn't really move around a lot. They didn't get those cross-ice passes that they love across. They were very kind of stagnant, and that goes to, the credit goes to Columbus, where they didn't give the Rangers the space to operate. They were very like, hey, if you want to stand around the outside and pass it to each other and shoot from the point where Merzlikins sees everything the entire way, go ahead. We'll give that to you. But do anything else, and we'll shut that down really quickly. So credit to Columbus for their penalty kill, kind of forced Rangers into doing other things, especially at 5-on-5. But to the Rangers' credit, they did. And Lafrenière, with 11 seconds to go, off a beautiful pass for that, I forget who it was, but the pass from Trocheck, it was not a hard pass. It was, Trocheck could have shot that. He was right in front. It was a light tap pass to Lafrenière, wide open, and he puts it in. Provorov was out there, I don't know, getting mad about somebody in the stands or something, and he was not in any position to stop Lafreniere's shot, and it went in, and the Rangers went in overtime after that. The Rangers continue to find ways to score, and they continue to find ways to win, despite, like we talked about before this whole stretch. If the Rangers could just go 1-1-1, this is fine. They're just going to maintain, keep their head above water while they wait for their star players to come back. They went 3-0, Nick. Like, this is very impressive. Yeah, the game against the Red Wings got kind of scary towards the end, where they scored a bunch of goals in the second period, and then Detroit was like, "Hey, by the way, we're still playing the video. They were still playing the video game. I don't know if you know that, but like we haven't disconnected. We haven't quit the game. We haven't given you the forfeit win yet." So they, the Rangers that was a little bit scary at the end, but they played against Minnesota in the game that, after what happened in Minnesota, right? You would think the Rangers would come out and essentially assert themselves as like, "Hey, that was a fluke. We're here to show you why that was a fluke," and they did. Like that was a really solid game. Louis Domingue with only one goal against, so we'll talk about that in a second. But like, wasn't expecting that. I'm gonna be real honest with you. Was not expecting a 1 goal against performance out of Louis Domingue. So he played well. The guys that the Rangers are relying to step up in these moments where they need their tertiary players to step up and fill the void, they've been doing it, and a credit goes to those guys.
Good teams have that. It's not quite depth, because we're not talking about, the ninth forward. We're talking about the third or fourth goalie. We're talking about somebody who hadn't played an NHL game since game 6 of the first round in the 2021 playoffs. When you are down to your third goalie, your hope is you just don't get embarrassed. If you play well enough in front of them, you hope, hey, maybe we can hang around, be in this game, and something weird happens. And Domingue was solid when he needed to be. That's all you can ask. But a tenet of good teams, and we talked about this in respect to the Carolina game last Monday, we talked about it from the perspective that when teams go on great runs, when they go to a second, a third round, a cup final, they have benchmark games throughout the course of the season. That Carolina win, losing 2 of your most important players, still finding a way to win in that environment, that type of thing, that is one of those benchmark games that if something special were to happen down the road, you could circle back to and say, hey, that Carolina game in early November, they were dinged up. They could have let that game get away from them. They found a way to win. The same thing rings true here in respect to the guys further down the lineup. Blake Wheeler finally got on the score sheet, got himself a goal over the weekend. They've got a contribution from the third goalie, which, again, not something you're banking on anything good happening whenever you have to play your third goalie, but that's something. Zach Jones had a really good game over the weekend. He's been a little up and down, but with more repetitions, he's getting more comfortable. If Lindgren's out, I imagine we're going to see another call-up. Probably Connor Mackey will slide in, who's a right-handed defenseman, which may throw the alignment out of the mix, but we're going to talk about why it doesn't really matter, because Erik Gustafsson can do basically whatever he wants, and we're going to be okay with it. But these little things, the benchmark wins, the contributions from depth guys and beyond depth guys, from your AHL depth guys, those types of those benchmarks are all tenets of a strong team. Now, they are not going to play 800 hockey the rest of the way. That's just not the way the NHL works. If they played 800 hockey the rest of the way with this group, that would be the most miraculous season in the history of the sport, arguably. I'm not asking.
I mean, the
800.
Bruins did it only to get knocked out in the first round last season. So,
okay, real quick. You bring that up. Okay. Yes. That Bruins team, two, I would say probably one lock Hall of Famer in Bergeron. A second one, actually, no, a lock in Bergeron and two really good cases eventually in Marchand and Pasternak. This Rangers team probably has one lock in Adam Fox and maybe a second one in Igor Shesterkin. For this type of team that's relying on guys like Tyler Pitlick, as opposed to like, I'm trying to think, who was the Bruins like 11th forward last year? Craig Smith, a guy like that. Like, we're talking about like a significantly less talented team than that Bruins group. And it's not the star players getting it done. Other than Panarin right now, it's Lafrenière, it's Trocheck, it's Blake Wheeler. It is guys down the lineup finding ways to make this happen. And in addition, I don't have Panarin notes on my rundown, but real quick, he's operating like a force of nature right now, how good he's been. Yep. I mean, he is making everybody better. And we have been starved for this version of Panarin since the first year he was here. We talked about it a few weeks ago, and it's still the case. All of his individual statistics, scoring chances, expected goals, high danger, these are all the highest rate of his career so far this season. It's only 12 games, and I imagine those rates will come down a little bit. His shooting percentage will come down a little bit. But he has continued to really be a force out there where he is making everybody better. I mean, most guys, when you lose your center, the way him and Lafrenière did lose Chytil a week and a half ago, there would have been a little bit of a drop-off, but they slid Trocheck in there, and Trocheck, I want to say, has 8 points in his last 4 games since he got up there with Panarin and Lafrenière. So the fact that they've got Panarin carrying so much of the load with Zibanejad, Kreider, and Kakko struggling to put the puck in the net, they've gotten some depth goals from Will Cooley, which has been nice. But in spite of a lack of goal scoring, they are still finding ways to win. And the dangerous thing here, and this is me saying dangerous, not in respect to the Rangers, but the dangerous thing in my mind is this is the way I felt about some of the Ranger teams of the past of they'll find a way. They'll find a way. I'm not worried. Like even last night against Columbus, as the minutes are ticking down, I feel okay about it. Like this group is going to find a way to get the puck in the net, and we're at least getting to overtime. Whatever happens in overtime, the shootout, okay. I was content with losing the shootout last night by just getting to overtime and overtime going to a stalemate. But to win in overtime after that kind of game, that's the dangerous thing for me, where it's starting to be like, okay, they can hang with anybody. Shorthanded, they're hanging with everybody. They get Fox back in here after a 3-week layoff. Okay, we're going to be cooking with grease real soon. And they still probably have a deadline move or two to make. Then that's where it starts getting dangerous, and I'm setting myself up for failure.
Well, and we talked about him before the season. We were very afraid of this man who's backing up Igor Shesterkin, of like, oh God, he was terrible in Vegas. He was terrible in LA. He's done. He's cooked. Honestly, genuinely, Benoit left for president. Listen, like I'm going to write him in over the course. I don't even know.
Is he American? Is he eligible to be elected president?
I kind of don't care. Give it to him anyway. He deserves it. Benoit Lair deserves it, whether or not he's eligible for it or not. Don't care. Didn't ask. He's president in my mind. Like he's
Quebec. He's Quebecy. I don't know how to say it. He's not eligible for president.
Quebecois, I believe. But you know what? The thing about that, Nick, is that I didn't care. I don't care. I'm going to write him in anyway, because that's how much he deserves the credit here. Like Jonathan Quick looked like he was done. He was abysmal last season, and then he comes to New York. We're terrified of this man. Benoit Lair says, it's fine. Don't worry about it. 928 save percentage. He's. I have it right here. I tweeted this out earlier today. 4-0-1, a 928 save percentage, a 1.98 goals against average, and a 3.8 goals saved above expected record so far. Quick's only other season with at least a 928 save percentage and under a 2 goals against average was when he won the Stanley Cup in 2012. Now, is this sustainable? Probably not. I don't think so. I hope so. You know what? For I would love it if he's sustained it the entire season. Will he? I don't know. Hopefully, but we can hope for the best. Through his 5 starts, he's looked really good. And that is way more than the Rangers I feel like they hoped for. They wanted a mentor for Shesterkin that would kind of play 15, 20 games and maybe win 10 of them, hopefully, just to kind of give Shesterkin, a little bit more of a veteran presence and, all of those intangibles that we talked about. But Shesterkin goes down. This is Quick's net, and he is running away with it. Like, this is so impressive to me, especially because we poo-pooed the idea. Like, this is an old man who's going to play hockey for the Rangers. Like, can he do this? He's proving us wrong so far. What his record and stats will be come March is a whole different conversation that we won't, it's way too early to talk about. But through five starts, he has looked really good, and that has been really impressive to me as well.
All I ever ask for from the backup goalie for my team is don't make me feel like we have no chance. I don't need you to win every game. I don't need you to have great stats, but I don't want to sigh and go, oh, whenever I see the backup goalies in, because that really reduces your chance of winning. Quick has been nothing short of great, in all honesty. If your goals above average is below 2, you are doing your job, especially as a backup. The workload is manageable. We imagine Shesterkin will be back sooner rather than later. He skated this morning. We're recording this on Monday night. We're live at Monday night, 6 p.m. He skated this morning. He skated at one point over the weekend as well. The Rangers don't play again until Saturday, so we don't know. For some reason. The schedule is weird for a few teams. Like, I know the Bruins play tomorrow, and then they're off until Sunday. So it's not just the Rangers, but
it works out for the Rangers right now because everybody's injured. Yes, like, this is fine. For us as viewers, it stinks. We want more hockey, but for the Rangers, it's amazing. You give more time to people to just get a little bit healthier. Like, we don't have to rush anybody. It'd be really bad if the Rangers were like 500 and they had to play 18 games this month. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like if they were playing every day this month with half the team out and they were rushing people back and making people play injured, like, Gallant made Trouba play injured for half of last season for some reason. I still don't know why, but you know what? We'll never know because he's smarter than us, so it's fine. But like that would be a lot more concerning. Obviously, as fans, again, we want as much hockey as we can. But for the Rangers' long-term perspective, this break couldn't have come at a better time.
No, and we'll know probably, I want to say by Thursday or Friday, because paper transaction-wise, they'll call Domingue back up if Shesterkin can't play on Saturday, and then Domingue would back up Quick against the Devils, which I read right before we started recording, is what the Devils are shooting for Jack Hughes' return to be on Saturday as well. So a lot going into that Saturday night showdown, which we'll touch on at some point later on. But real quick, and I really wanted to highlight this because he had a great game last night, and he's been stringing them together. It's too early to say Lafrenière has it all the way, that he's getting to where he needs to be, but these are all steps in the right direction. I know we've put a lot of qualifiers, we've put a lot of caveats on, well, he's not getting power play time, it's hard to put up counting stats. If you don't get that power play one time, you're losing 10 to 15 points easy on a power play like the Rangers have. So the fact that he is continuing to find ways to be impactful, including putting the puck in the net, that is really encouraging. Everybody knows that coming into this season, the narrative was getting a little bit, I won't say out of control, because obviously what we on the outside feel about narratives, the way certain people cover the team, etc., that stuff gets to the players, but what they feel about it, we don't know. Whether or not Lafrenière is even aware of that is up for debate. You could tell me he doesn't read, and I would believe you. If you told me he was Roman Josi and he said, I've never read a book before in my life, I would believe you, in all honesty. He seems like the kind of guy who's just hanging out. So if he's not reading the New York Post, he's not reading The Athletic, I would believe you. And he's just been going along, happy-go-lucky, having fun, making silly facial expressions, what have you. He's making an impact. And that's what Sam Rosen said. Sam Rosen said, Alexis Lafrenière, it's time to make an impact. He's making an impact. Last night, one of the best games he's played as a professional, pair of goals, shootout winner. driving force on that line. And there is a real symbiotic relationship forming here between him and Panarin, where because defenses are respecting Panarin shooting more, Lafrenière has more space to work. Because Lafrenière has more space to work, it's having a trickle-down effect of making Panarin and Trocheck more dangerous, because Lafrenière, he's a facilitator at heart. He's not a sniper. He's not a pure goal scorer. He wants to set his guys up to make plays. With that additional space, because Panarin's shooting more, you've opened up another dimension to his game, and it's made that line significantly more dangerous. I tweeted out that graphic during the course of the day. Pretty much all of his rate stats are up. The only one that isn't is high danger chances for as a line, but his individual high danger chances are up, which tells me he has the puck more. He's getting the puck to more dangerous areas more frequently. These are all recurring traits. And I know a lot of people were getting frustrated. Well, how can he be snake bitten for 4 years? And I understand that. I really do understand the mindset of, well, no, he's not snake bitten. He's just not that good. The counterpoint to that was always, he has been asked to do stuff that he's not used to doing, that he's playing in a reduced role. He's not getting as much ice time. The organization has done everything possible to mess with his confidence, because it's always been about the organization, not his development. Like Gallant has said, like Arthur Staple has said, like everybody in the Rangers orbit who repeats the line, the NHL is not a developmental league, which is an asinine quote used to defend bad decisions. But you are watching his development play out in real time, because he finally has confidence in his game. He is not avoiding scrums. He is not avoiding loose pucks. He is getting in the mix, and he is making worlds of difference. That confidence he's playing with right now, it is so imperative that they find ways to foster and maintain that, because he's going to go on a dry spell here. He's shooting 21% right now, which he will not do the rest of the season. So when the goals stop coming for a little while, that means don't take him away from Panarin. That means give him opportunities to make mistakes, because they will come. It's a matter of riding this out and helping him stay at a higher level. When you're playing with confidence, you're probably a little better than you actually are. There's a world where, because he's still so young, they can get him to not quite here game per game, because he's just not a 2-goal per game player in terms of rate stats, but they can get him 3/4 of that. They're still cooking. The opportunity for a special Lafrenière season is here. He's probably not going to flirt with 80, 100 points, but 60, 65, that's not out of the question if he keeps playing the way he is and they keep him with Panarin.
And his analytics are really good, too. It'd be one thing if he was scoring all these points, but his metrics were terrible. He was just finding the back of the net, and his stats were inflated, or one thing or another. But he's playing very well. He's getting the counting stats, and the underlying metrics are also really good. Like somebody posted his metrics card the other day, and it showed like a lot of green, like a lot of really good stuff, especially offensively, even defensively. He's not looked out of place at all. To which I quote tweeted and said, David Quinn and Gerard Gallant for prison, because like that's how it feels. Like, oh, as soon as he gets a head coach that, one, believes in him, and two, won't shove him down the lineup for somebody that doesn't deserve his spot, all of a sudden he gets the confidence to do what he's doing. Sometimes if you're just not as smart as the head coach, then you don't see these things, Nick. I don't know if you know, but now that there's a new head coach in here that might not be as smart as the last guy, but is doing the decisions that should have been made all along, now all of a sudden, oh, what a surprise, as my Syracuse flag falls down, that he has confidence. What a surprise, what a shocker. I truly can't believe it, Nick.
I was really hoping Edmonton was going to hire Gallant purely because it would have been funny. It would have been so funny. Shout out Kris Knoblauch getting an opportunity to coach. I do think it's very funny, and someone brought this up to me over the weekend, that the Rangers felt Kris Knoblauch wasn't ready to lead a team that had Stanley Cup expectations, and he went into the most pressure cooker environment possible. Like, I understand, like, New York scale-wise is a bigger city. There's more attention. But, like, going into Edmonton as the interim head coach, best player in the world 3 years from free agency, second best player on the team, one of the 5 best players in the world 2 years away from unrestricted free agency. It does not get more intense than what Knoblauch is about to walk into in Edmonton. He's got a gift tonight. The schedule makers hooked him up. He's going to get the Islanders. The Islanders have been really bad for about 2 weeks now. The unrest is growing out there. Last couple games, we've been getting the Fire Lambert chants going at UBS Arena, which is very entertaining. I enjoy the Lou must go, and they're trying to rhyme go and Lou, but like it's a Canadian accent, which is very funny. But at the very least, I'm a little surprised in respect to Knoblauch just taking a job in the middle of the season, because I just feel like that doesn't happen where AHL coaches go to another organization. Like if this was internal, that would make sense, but I'm very surprised, and I don't know what the Oilers think changing the coach is going to do other than it's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. It's a short-term fix. There are real roster issues there, and I know I've entirely steered the conversation here, but the Oilers came up naturally, so I feel like this is worth discussing.
Well, first of all, congrats to Kris Knoblauch. He's a guy that has been on the radar of NHL teams for a while now. It's not like this is coming out of nothing and he just appears out of nowhere. One, this is, and we can get like conspiracies aside, he did coach McDavid in Erie in juniors. So there's that connection. Whether or not Connor asked for him or if he didn't ask for him or whatever, it doesn't matter. The thing, I think one of the reasons why Kris took this job is because of that connection. I think Kris is more comfortable taking a first-time head coaching position when the best player on his team is somebody that he knows. I feel like that makes it a little bit easier of a transition to make. Like you said, Edmonton is going to be very high pressure, and whether he was ready, quote unquote, if in air quotes, or not for the Rangers job, he has at least established a connection with McDavid before. He knows he knows at least the best player on the team, and now you go from there. But for the more surprising thing with, I know this is a Rangers podcast, but like with Edmonton for a second, because Kris Knoblauch, former almost New York Rangers head coach, that Kenny Holland's getting another head coach.
I don't get it, man.
The roster stinks. Like what was Jay Woodcroft supposed to do? The roster stinks.
Okay.
How was that his fault?
What I will say is, because I did pick the Oilers to, win the division and be one of the 5-6 best teams in the entire league, like most of the people who do hockey stuff, you cannot have both. Either both Woodcroft and Holland are responsible for this, or you get to say both are, well, they're not, the team's getting unlucky. I think it's very unfair that Woodcroft was fired and Ken Holland gets to keep his job, because it's giving Ken Holland, as you said, another head coach when these issues have been here. No matter who plays goalie for that team, sans that one Mike Smith season when the season was 56 games and the Oilers averaged 5 goals a game, the Oilers have not had a good goalie since Cam Talbot's first year there, and that was 7 years ago.
I was going to say since Javier Bulin, but yeah, you're right.
That one good season. I'm not even saying like good goalie. I'm saying good statistical season. It has been a long time. And no matter what goalie goes there, they get a little bit worse statistically. The environment is difficult because the Oilers trade chances. They concede a lot defensively. They are inclined to play track meet hockey, which is hard hockey on your goalie. They sent Campbell down to the AHL to get work in to try and figure it out. They're rolling with Stuart Skinner.
And then he gives up a bunch of really bad goals.
Yeah, he gave up 4 in the A, which, if you're trying to get back to the NHL, is not good.
Including one that's just like, there was a meme a few years ago. I don't really know much about soccer, but there was like a meme going around of the soccer ball like just rolling ever so slowly to the goal line. And instead of the goalie, just picking the ball up, just lets it go by. Then he realizes, oh, I just blew the World Cup for my team. That almost, it was what happened to Jack Campbell, and I feel bad for him. Like, when everything is going against you, and then you go down in the AHL to fix your game, and you get, but by the way, clears waivers. Most, I would have to imagine mostly because of the contract. He's making $5 million for essentially his entire life. Like he's set for that contract. You go down to the AHL, and that's what I'm like. Oh, does it give up, brother? Oh, that's tough. So hopefully he figures it out. But yeah, happy for Kris. Like at the end of the day, he was to all of our knowledge, close or at least one of the candidates to be the next Rangers head coach, and they chose Laviolette instead, which prompted Kris to, oh look, the Oilers job is available. I'm going to take that because there's only 32 of these jobs in the league. So, and there's never a good, in air quotes, time to take a head coaching job. So one becomes available. The powers that be reach out to you and say, hey, do you want it? You say yes.
Okay. Shifting gears back to the Rangers. I'm still I've been having this conversation with somebody for about a week now. And why did it take Erik Gustafsson this long to get a real landing spot? Because this is somebody who's been on 7 teams in the last 8 years. This is somebody who has clearly shown some inclination for offensively inclined hockey from the back end. When we have seen significantly worse iterations of this get significant run. Tony DeAngelo got real assets given for him and given actual money 2 separate times from teams because they didn't even care about his defense. And Gustafsson is significantly better than Tony DeAngelo at both ends of the rink. I'm going to read through this list. Recent players to occupy the Rangers' 6th defenseman spot. Ben Harper, Justin Brunn, Zach Jones, Libor Hayek, Jared Tenorti, Patrick Nemeth, Jack Johnson, Brendan Smith, John Gilmore, Neil Pionk, Nick Holden, Kevin Klein, John Moore, Frederick Claesson, Adam McQuaid. What does it take for an actually good player to get real run at 29 years old? I think Erik Gustafsson is. I struggle to understand why from any real reason. Yeah, he's 31 years old and he's played on 9 different teams in the time it's taken for him to find 2 good landing spots in a row. I do not understand why teams are scared of these types of players who skew towards offense. I just really don't understand it he's cheap too. This guy has never made real money either.
Do you think Toronto would have liked to keep him instead of over whatever Klingberg? John Klingberg is doing right now over there? Like John Klingberg is just genuinely might be the worst defenseman that to try to play defense I think I've ever seen in my life.
Nah, Tony's worse.
Maybe, yeah, but he's up. He on the list of the top names. He's up there. Like John Klingberg genuinely has no interest in doing any of that, which is really funny. Is at that point just be a forward. I think 20 years from now we'll see that happen, where we'll see players like John Klingberg just play forward. Because if you just are so brutal and just such a black hole defensively, there's no reason to shoehorn you into a defensive position. If you literally cannot defend a lawn chair, why are you playing as a defenseman? Why are you doing it? With Erik Gustafsson, I don't understand it either. I know he's shown flashes here and there, in so many other stopping gaps along the way. Maybe teams didn't trust his defense enough. Maybe they felt like they have too many offensive weapons and they needed more of a defensive third pair. I don't know, but Erik Gustafsson right now is playing the best hockey of his career. I tweeted this on the show account yesterday. Erik Gustafsson and Aaron Fox for the Norris let him share it. Like that's how well he's playing. And I tweeted this out on my personal account yesterday too, and I'd like your thoughts on this as well. Dollar for dollar, is Erik Gustafsson the best free agent signing the Rangers have ever signed? Like dollar for dollar.
It's a good question.
Per penny. Is he the best free agent signing ever?
I think we have to see how the rest of the year scales out, and then we can do the actual math on this. We can do like WAR, we can do points above replacement and get a good understanding. But like off the top of my head, free agents that hit and kind of stuck, I mean, they've definitely had a few PTO guys stick and become useful. They've had, I want to say Anton Strawman is in that conversation as free agent defenseman who ended up playing pretty well for them, but not putting up counting stats like this. So I will revisit that. I will come back with some candidates and we can have a longer discussion, more in depth about who the best free agent signing they've had dollar for dollar is. But one more thing on this topic.
And real quick, like it's not even about the counting stats. Like, yeah, Gustafsson is putting up the stats on the stat sheet, but it's his impact in other ways.
Yeah.
My man's he's stopping chances going, against the team, but he's creating space for everybody else. He's got the vision to get everybody the open opportunity. Like this is something that somebody that would be making $5-6 million would be able to do. He's making essentially almost league min, and he's doing things for the rest of the team. Also in an enhanced role because Adam Fox is out. Now it's Erik Gustafsson's show to be the Adam Fox light of the Rangers while they wait for Fox to come back. And I don't want to say he's dominating, but my man's is stepped up into this role and so far to this point has looked like he's done this his entire career. It is very impressive.
The last two things on Gustafsson. One reason I think he hasn't gotten as much burn as he probably should have. And this is somebody who put up 60 points, granted on a bad team in 2017-18, I think, for the Blackhawks, a team that missed the playoffs. He put up 50-something last year with the Capitals and the Leafs. So the points have been there in spurts when he's been given opportunities. Ice time, strong correlation, played the most average time on ice last year of any season since the one where he put up the 60. But the theory I have seen for why he hasn't gotten as much run as he probably should have in other spots is that he hits the benchmark of being 6 foot. NHL GMs and women value being 6 feet tall, very much so. In the case of Erik Gustafsson, he is 6 foot, but he doesn't play like he's 6 foot. He's not overly physical. He's not physically imposing. And NHL GMs, they value that so much that they overlook other traits because they feel like they need to have a benchmark amount of physicality in their lineup. And there is a use for physicality and that type of play. We talk about this. It's about it's about having utility in addition to that. It's not just, they can bang in the corners, they can win loose pucks. It's they can bang in the corners, win loose pucks, get to transition quickly, reinforce the offense off of the rush as a trailer, the additional components within the game. Puck movement is the foundation of modern defense in the NHL because the game is so fast now. If you cannot handle the puck in today's NHL as a defenseman, you are going to get left behind. The average NHL defenseman has never been more talented, and that will continue to the benchmark threshold, whatever word you want to use, for the worst NHL defenseman will continue to rise throughout the years. And I imagine that the requisite puck skills to stay at the NHL level will continue to improve. And it's really having a nice effect where I'm not as worried every time Braden Schneider's out there on the ice when he's with Gustafsson because he has somebody who can actually handle the puck. Schneider defensively is fine. He's nothing special, but his one real flaw as a defenseman is his puck handling. He really gets antsy when he has the puck in his own zone. He is inclined to use the alley-oop just to get the puck out of the zone, alleviate pressure, and live for the next play. But playing with an actual puck mover is going to increase his confidence. And in regards, like we just talked about with Lafrenière, you increase the kid's confidence, he's going to play better. It's really encouraging to see players get rewarded for their good play and have a trickle up effect. It's one thing to play well and the team to not play well, but there are guys contributing who are playing really well. The team keeps winning. That's what's dangerous about all of this as a fan. You start buying into this and then it's March and you're looking to, we're the 1 seed. We only have to play Carolina as opposed to, we have to play the Devils or the Leafs or the Bruins, what have you. You really start talking yourself into things. And then you start remembering, that's right. I still wake up in a cold sweat 2 or 3 times a year thinking about Rick Nash missing a wide open net in the 2014 Stanley Cup final because shit hurts, Andrew.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I still have, I have war flashbacks from that series. I still hate Dwight King with all of my might. I gotta hate Dwight King. I hate Dwight King and I hate the referees so much from that series. Yeah, but I mean, again, it's one thing if like the Bruins had it last year, and the argument, whether you believe it or not, is the Bruins didn't face adversity all of last season. They just kept winning a bunch of games, and then they faced adversity against the Panthers and they folded. Whether you agree with that or not, that's one of the storylines of their season. For the Rangers, it's, okay, well, half of our team is hurt, and we continue to win. So if you really subscribe to that adversity angle, well, hey, right here is a really good one. The starting goalie's out, Chytil's out, their best defenseman's out, everybody's out, and yet they just continue to win games. Like that is more than anything, I feel like that's just a testament to their mentality this season of, we're not going to pack it in and just wait for people to come back. I feel like if this happened last season, we would have seen a little bit more of this, where, oh, well, Fox isn't here. Oh, Shesterkin's not here. Oh, our guys are banged up and whatever. Oh, well, it's fine. When everybody comes back, we'll turn it on and everything will just be dandy. Because we heard a little bit of that last season. I know when Kane got here, he was like, oh, well, we got to start playing now because there's no such thing as turning on the switch. But the problem with that is that everybody other than him didn't have that mentality, and they got to the playoffs, thought they would turn on the switch, and then promptly got dumpstered. So like, I feel like this season is a testament to how they've changed their mentality, at least on the offset of, hey, we can't just be giving away games. Every point matters. Every game matters, no matter who's playing, who's injured. They could have easily packed it up against Columbus, and then they would have made the valid excuse of, oh, that goal by Will Cooley went in. They discounted it. The refs were bad. Oh, it's a throwaway game. Whatever. We'll win the next one. But they didn't do that. They kept fighting. Lafrenière scored, forced overtime, and then he had their heroics in the shootout, and they won. This is what good teams do. That's what you said. This is what the really good teams do. And big test coming up against Saturday. We don't know who is coming back, if anybody. Maybe Shesterkin, maybe Lindgren if things go well. We don't know his status at all. But real quick, I mean, before we get out of here, Henrik Lundqvist is a Hall of Famer, and I love it.
It's really great, man. There are very few people that kind of resonate, that capture what it means to represent that city. And there are a lot of people, and this is a subset of the internet, of people who like move to New York from the Midwest, and they think it's going to be like every rom-com they watched where, oh, I work in this and I met this person. And New York City is what you make of it. For somebody from another country, English not a first language, would have been very easy to be reserved, to kind of keep a low profile. And Henrik Lundqvist said, I'm pretty good at this hockey thing. I'm going to have fun while I'm here too. And I know jokingly, the king, he could go back to Sweden, be royalty, that kind of. There are very few people, I think, that have done a better job of representing what it means to be a New Yorker. And the thing that, to me, that sticks out to that is the New Yorkers who get it. And you don't have to be from New York to be a real New Yorker. And Henrik Lundqvist is proof of that. This is somebody who, on his off days, he's going to Knick games. He's going to concerts. He's going to restaurants. This is somebody
maybe even performing in those concerts with his guitar.
Every now and then too. Yeah. I still remember the lockout ended. There he was on Letterman with Sean Avery and like two other people playing guitar. Henrik Lundqvist has everything you want from a franchise icon, a franchise. The single biggest compliment I can give Henrik Lundqvist, the hockey player, every single time the Rangers would be in one of those playoff series, Ottawa, Philadelphia, it doesn't matter who they're playing. Whenever I would talk to somebody about the game, I would say, they got Lundqvist, they will be in this game. And that is all you can ever ask for from a goaltender in the playoffs. If they are in net, we're going to have a chance to win. Okay, we'll figure out the rest. There's a reason I believed so much in those teams in 2014 and 2015. I saw him will them through. I saw him will through that team in 2013 against the Capitals that had no talent, that had to trade Marian Gaborik for 3 bodies because they had one line of players, that was playing Aaron Asham in the playoffs. I saw him will through against Pittsburgh twice, against Tampa Bay as much as he possibly could. You can't win hockey games 0-0, Andrew. The Rangers never figured that out while Henrik Lundqvist was on the team.
Why you got to remind me of that? Because now I'm mad. Now I'm mad again. Like it took until them getting Shesterkin to realize, oh, by the way, and Shesterkin is almost changes by himself too, because he can score. He's trying to score goals now because that's what Shesterkin does. But like, if you want, like, if you have the best goalie on the planet, you need to get people that can score, because you need to score to win hockey games. Like, you can have the best goalie in the world, but somebody's got to score to win the game. So maybe provide that. If you already have the best goalie on the planet, that'll make the other team score as close to 0 goals a game as he possibly can. Why not? Now this is true. You know, I'm breaking barriers here, Nick. Why not add offensive pieces around your best goalie on the planet to get more goals for your team, while the best goalie for your team makes it very difficult for the other team to score? I rest my case.
All-time great player, one of the 3-4 best players in the history of the franchise. Glad he's getting in. It wasn't a doubt of if he was going to get in. It was a doubt of would he get in on the first try. Very deservingly so, getting in on the first try. Next time I get up to Toronto, I'll be very happy to take a picture smiling like a dumbass next to the plaque. Can't wait for the opportunity. Getting to talk to Henrik Lundqvist for 2 minutes is probably going to be considered the peak of my life when all is said and done. I'm never going to be able to. I'm just very glad I got to say thank you for the hockey. That it sounds corny. It really is the truth, man. When you watch a team as consistently as we watch the Rangers over the course of Henrik Lundqvist's career, when you are that dependable, you can be that consistently counted on. Never a disappointment, never a frustrating player, never embarrassed the team, never did anything wrong. Just, that's the kind of guy you root for, and that's the kind of person that makes you love a sport.
If anything, we apologize to him, because well, we're so sorry the Rangers couldn't build around you better.
Yeah.
That, like, it takes a special kind of talent to have fans apologize. We saw you try so hard, and we saw the rest of the organization not care, essentially. Like they cared, but they if they really wanted to go for it, they would have. But instead of adding John Scott to the roster in 2012, they would have added more. You know, like they would have done more in 2014 and 2015. They would have done more to put better pieces around Lundqvist. They didn't do that. So for that, Hank, I'm sorry.
That'll do it for this week's episode of the Liberty Blue Podcast. There's only one game this week. They played the Devils on Saturday. We'll talk about it on Monday. We'll see you guys then. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast, YouTube as well. See you next Monday. Hope Lindgren feels okay. Hope Shesterkin's back on Saturday. We'll see you guys soon.
Later.